straight week, the Edmonton Elks, they have the lead. They give the ball back to their opponents. Their opponents drive down the field and kick a last-second field goal to snatch victory away from the Edmonton Elks. Elks fall to the Hamilton Tiger Cats 29-27 out in Hamilton. They lose more positioning when it comes to a playoff race. Lots to get to on this show tonight in reaction to this loss. Your thoughts always going to be welcome. 780-218-9999, or you could jump into the nasty chat. This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show, live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton Sports, presented by Play Alberta. Matt Iwanyk, Jay Milne with you here tonight. As I said, we will break down this action. We will go through a lot on this game. Justin Rankin, a big play. Back and forth, I think it ends up being 9 lead changes, because I think when the Elks took the lead, they said on the broadcast that was 8. And so ultimately when the Ticats win it, that would be ultimately 9 lead changes in this game, a complete back and forth game. A few questionable decisions from the Elks, questionable decisions also from the Canadian Football League. But with that, I'll just first bring in Jay Milne. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, you can say all you want about whatever this command center, replay center. I'll just say it, bullshit that happened, because I don't understand it. But you can blame that. You can. But you can also blame this team that cannot finish a drive, that cannot go for the kill shot. I have no pity for this team if they're going to decide to take an easy way out and not be aggressive. I'm sick of seeing this team put themselves in situations where they can take the control of the game and maybe take a risk. Geez, would that be such a foreign idea? Go for some things. When Benjamin Victor dropped that ball in the end zone, and we'll get to that as to why that wasn't a catch. Go for it. Why not? This team does not close out games. You're on the 4-yard line or 3-yard line, whatever that was. Take a shot. At the end of the game, 3rd and 2, you're in Hamilton's territory. Go for it. Why are you punting the ball there?
And I will make my...
Because you know why? When you punt the ball and you get it back, even though it was a great punt, you just know that Hamilton's going to come back. You know that Hamilton's going to march the ball and with no seconds on the clock, have a chance to kick a game-winning field goal. So why not just get it over with anyways? Go for it. Quit being, just...
scared.
Yeah, I got so many other words I can say. But it's just annoying. And so I don't have pity for you. If you're going to say, oh, well, the command center, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was a weird thing to have happen. But take the bull, take the bull by the horns. When are they going to learn that they're not good enough? This is 2 games in a row. And it's happened, I don't know, since I've been doing the show with you, Matt, that they just continually get burnt at the end of the game.
I have a few things I want to counter and discuss with you on that. But I will also point that when the Elks got the ball, there was, you said, remember this, and it ended up being, I think, 2:51 left on the clock, and you said, be aggressive, go for it. And they ran the ball with Rankin, who got 4 yards, I believe. Then they threw it out to Julian Grant, and I haven't had a chance to text him back, but I saw the text from my dad quickly, which is need 6 yards, run a 4-yard pattern. I never understand that part of receivers sometimes, where where the first down markers, you go short. I'll give Julian Grant credit. He fought hard to get those extra 2 yards after that. But you said be aggressive in that. You weren't happy with them in Toronto last week when they weren't aggressive late in the game.
No.
Tonight, we didn't see them improve on or learn from that. And
here's a game that's in reach, man.
Yeah, and you have the ball to close it out.
Yep.
You have the ball to finish it off, and you didn't. I'm going to go first with the Elks' decisions, which I didn't like. On coaching. This is on coaching that I'm going to put this one on. You said, why aren't you taking a timeout? At the end of the first half, the Elks got right to the end zone, right? Knocking on the doorstep. There's 12 seconds left. And they could have used the timeout and took one shot to the end zone and then kick a field goal. Instead, they let the clock run and Blanchard came out and kicked the field goal. Don't understand that decision.
And you know how many timeouts they ended up with at the end of the game? They still had one left.
Yeah.
So it didn't even matter.
No, that was one where I didn't like, because I thought when they didn't call that timeout, I thought they were just going to be ready to call a play to throw the ball into the end zone. And when I saw the Blanchard out there, and then they showed the clock, and there was 1 second, and it was counting down, I'm like, what happened there? And you immediately were just like, why aren't they calling a timeout? And that was a mistake by Mark Gillum right there.
Yeah.
They should have called a timeout. They should have took one shot at the end zone. You were right there. You're not running one play in 12 seconds. Even if you run the football, it's not going to be 12 seconds. You're going to have a chance to still kick your field goal ultimately if you want to do that one.
You have 2 timeouts at that point. Use them.
And the third down play, like, as soon as it was 3rd and 2, they were on the Hamilton 52. I said, go for it.
Go for it.
And the reason I say go for it at that point, there was a minute 46. My belief is, and I had this exam because I just saw this with one of my football teams a couple of weeks ago. The Baltimore Ravens had a 4th and 2 or whatever it was against the Buffalo Bills at midfield. And I immediately texted my Baltimore Ravens buddy Warren. I'm like, you got to go for it here, because the reason for me is, if Hamilton, if you don't get it, Hamilton's getting the ball at midfield. They're not in the CFL using up 1 minute and 36 of game clock to take that lead. If you hold them to a field goal, you're going to get the ball back, and you will still have some time left to go march down the field and win it yourself. But by kicking it off, you are giving them a lot of time at that point. Well, they actually punted that at $1:46. So they could have went for it with about 2 minutes left. You would have gotten, if Hamilton now gets the ball, they're going to be able to march down the field. And if they kick a field goal, they're going to win the football game. And that's ultimately what happened. That's where I wanted them to be aggressive. Go for that one, because worst case, if you don't get it, okay. But you've left time on the clock for yourself that if Hamilton ultimately, if your defense doesn't make the stop, your offense will get the ball back. And they didn't. To that replay, I will start by saying the command center got it right. Bo Levi Mitchell got hit in the head. I just don't understand when and where this command center makes calls. And that part to me is very frustrating with the Canadian Football League. And the one play I just remember right off the top, because there's many more I could go, if we go watch all these games and go find them. Stephen Dunbar, a number of weeks ago, got his head twisted on a play. No call. And it was clear on replay that was just an egregious face mask. And no command center call on that one. But today, Bo gets hit in the head. Hamilton wasted their challenge because of a poor pass interference challenge. And the command center calls in. I don't understand. The CFL needs to be more transparent and needs to do a much better job letting us know what is the criteria for the command center to come in and make a play call. Because they impacted both of those games. They impacted that past one by not getting involved, and they impacted this one by getting involved. To me, if you're going to impact these games, they should all be the same. You're making the call and you're getting involved. I didn't like that part. I stand by it. It was the right call in the end. But have some darn consistency when it comes to when you're going to be used. Reg Dunlop, saying in the nasty chat, says it has to do with player safety. It's a face mask, not player safety. It's
getting your head turned around.
Like, that's player safety.
But no, you can't pick or choose. If it's the CFL replay, the booth, the command center, whatever the hell you want to call that.
I in the sky, I'll call it right now.
Then you need to call the games as the rule book suggests. Which means if, like last week, Benjamin Victor at the final drive, what he caught was right at the first yard line.
That's a great point.
And then whatever side judge marked him 3 yards short. Why doesn't the command center step in there and say, no, we totally botched this spot? Oh, it has a definite, it causes the game to go one way or another. If they get that spot right, Elks might have went for it. Who knows?
No, that was a first down.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, you can't just say and resort to this player safety distraction. Football is a physical game. But you know what? If you want to do it, if you want to come in, then come in on every play that matters. If they miss a first down, come in. That's what you're there for, clearly. Because tonight you came in and totally changed the outlook of this game. Now, who knows what would have happened? Would have Hamilton picked up the first? But they got 15 yards free.
And here's the thing. They needed those 15 yards because of the wind.
Absolutely.
They didn't need the 15 yards if the wind wasn't a factor today. If the wind wasn't gusting the way it was, they probably couldn't afford to go 10, 15 yards less. And Leggio's kicking a 50-some yard. What was the ultimate final kick? Leggio kicked from 41. He could have probably kicked what is his longest this season? Let me see if I can quickly find his longest.
I think that was his what didn't they say that was his longest kick?
There's no way 41's his longest this season, is it?
I thought I heard that. I might be misremembering.
Mark Leggio this season, his longest is 48. So 7 yards off his longest. So instead of 15 yards on that play, they could have gotten, they needed only 8 yards. And he could have kicked the 48 if it wasn't for a wind. So they really needed that to get as close as possible because the wind was a factor in this game. The wind was a factor late in this game. But I agree with everything. Like this Elks team, though, that's not the reason they lost ultimately.
No,
and they don't deserve that. They don't deserve that for us to just let them off the hook for what happened today. I just want the CFL to be much more transparent and outline in detail when and where and why are you going to come in as a command center. Moving forward, if it's about player safety, let us know which player safeties and then be consistent with that all the time. Because that would have impacted this game last week, though. That would have been a first down, and Toronto might not have had time to kick a field goal.
Well, and you know what's funny? You want to talk about a play that changed the game? When Odu Hilaire dropped that pass in the end zone? Well, guess what? Guess why he dropped it? Stavros Katsantonis came in and hit him square in the back of the head. A defenseless player. Was there a replay on that? If you're talking player safety, well, throw that out the door because that's complete BS. If you're saying this is player safety, well, guess what? Katsantonis hit a player that was defenseless on the ground, square in the back of the head. So save your discussion about player safety. I don't know, or at least have some guidelines.
That's it. Exactly.
This player safety thing is overused, and but it's player safety. But
the face mask on Stephen Dunbar's player safety.
That's not good enough to say, it's because of player safety. No, it's not. It's obviously something that nobody really knows about. There's no guidelines. There's no because of this A, B, C, D, E progression on the CFL website or in the CFL rulebook. Yeah, this is like a voice of God that just decides to pop into a game whenever. And please don't confuse this that I'm blaming this loss on that. My frustrations is simply with when they bring it into a game. Why are they involving it in this part of the game when there's a minute left in the game, as opposed to the 3 or 4 other times during the game that it probably could have been implemented as well? Yep. Why does it have to come in now? Because it's an important part of the game? Oh, is it because you're watching because it's a close game?
Because it's Bo Levi Mitchell?
Because I don't understand. This team lost because they coached the final 3-4 minutes the same way that they've finished games this season. Well, just not aggressive enough.
The Elks had 10 drives tonight. Their first 6, touchdown, field goal, punt, field goal, touchdown. Julian punted once. Great drives there. Great drives. Their final 4, punt, field goal, punt. And outside of that field goal drive, on 3 of those drives, they have a combined 2 first downs on those other 3 drives. Just, they get to a nice spot. They could have put this game away a lot earlier. They could have put this a game away, and we wouldn't have come down to this end. It wouldn't have come down to the Elks needing a little bit more on that final drive to keep Hamilton off the field, or Hamilton getting the ball back and be able to drive down the field. You were playing so well through the first half and your first drive of the second half. And then it stopped. You just couldn't get it done anymore.
Yeah.
And why is that? Why is that change? Like, what were you doing before that you weren't doing after? And why does that happen too much with this team?
It's too conservative. This whole team is too conservative. Even on the final drive, their defense was too conservative. They're playing in a prevent style defense. Well, the offense is playing in we just got to kill the clock and try to get into it. That's not good enough. And here's the thing. If you want to look for a bright spot here, this is a young coaching staff. This is a coaching staff that's going to look back on these games and say, gosh darn it, that's on us. That's our fault as a coaching staff. And ultimately, that falls on the shoulders of Mark Killam.
Yep.
Okay? But this is his first year. Okay? I'm not saying it's excusable, but it's going to happen. And this is part of what every former Eskimo Elk person that, people involved in the CFL, people that are in the game have referred to as this process. This is part of the process. What you're seeing right now, what you're screaming about in the nasty chat, this is part of the process. And unfortunately, it sucks. It sucks for all you fans out there that want this team just to win. But it's part of this process. It's part of this coaching staff growing up. And fortunately, they need to go through stuff like this to learn. It sucks in the now, but moving forward, I think it'll ultimately help this team.
Yeah, there's playoffs. We said in the kickoff show, it's still there. It's extremely difficult. Playoffs are still possible, because two of the teams they're catching, they play both of them. They need to go win those games and then see what else they can go do. But no matter what happens over the remaining 4 games this season for this Edmonton Elks team, when we do our final post-game show of the season, whenever that might be, there's going to be a lot of optimism for next year.
Sure.
There have been a lot of improvements and a lot of growth. I'll say this. I'm impressed with the defense again today. They still played extremely well.
Yep.
I thought they got a decent amount of pressure on Bo Levi Mitchell. Had a turnover again today. Were able to contain, there were those drives that Hamilton was able to just pick them apart, move down the field, but Hamilton's a good football team. But the Elks defense kept this team in the game entirely. And look, Mogensen went down late in that game. And look, that drive for Hamilton to go win this football game, they drove a fair amount of the field. The final drive for the Ticats ended up being 52 yards to get into field goal position to win it. That wasn't an easy 52 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It took everything out of the Hamilton Tiger Cats to get into position to score that field goal, because the Elks defense played really well. I will give them credit, even though the Ticats got into that position, 15 yards helped them. That defense did play rather well. I do want to say, I don't know who's responding in it, but the Edmonton Sports Talk account says the replay center
Dusty.
should not be able to step in if a team has no challenges left. I actually disagree with that. I'm okay with having an eye in the sky to make sure calls are right. But
then Matt,
let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
But there has to be a consistency to it, and there has to be clear sets of rules of when and where they step in. Make it known that it's okay only on these penalties, or make it known it's only in these situations, or let it be only in the final 3 minutes. But there needs to be clear outlined rules as to why that happens. It's the same as in the National Football League. In the final 2 minutes of each half, all plays are reviewable by the command center. They could come in and review any play that they want, or that at least used to be the case. I don't know if it still is. But that's how it always was, that you couldn't challenge, but the replay system could jump in and challenge. I want consistency. I also want to know what is and what isn't able to be reviewed. But I am more than okay with having calls corrected that are blatantly missed, because that was a missed call. I'm okay with getting that corrected. But we have to have consistency with it, and we have to have a clear definition of what will and won't be reviewed. If we had that, then I could live with what happened today. But we don't have that, and we haven't seen that consistency, so I'm not pleased with what happened today.
Well, and look no further than, this is a bit of a leap here, but look no further than the NHL and the lack of consistency they have in refereeing and what's called a cross-check one night and what's not called a cross-check. It happens. But what you're saying, I can get behind. If you say, okay, because there's a 3-minute warning in the CFL. If you say all replays are handled by the command center or the replay center after the 3-minute warning, I'm fine with that. But take your player safety stuff and shove it where it's, where.
Well, and if it's about player safety, then you tell me then it's going to be just this penalty, this penalty.
No. But it can't just be about, for the integrity of the game.
Sure.
It cannot just be about player safety. It needs to be, that spot was wrong. That was a face mask. But not. I'm not looking to say, hey, call the holding on the left tackle when the play went right. You know what I mean? But Plays that are causing the game to change. Spots.
The plays
Clear pass interferences that are missed.
Something that's directly impacted a play.
Yeah.
Don't call
because
illegal contact that was missed on the other side of the field when the play was on the left side of the field, on the right side of the field when the play is on the left. Yeah, I can get behind that too. Like, that's just where I am with it. I'm okay with it, but be consistent. And Jay's right, because last week, that would have been he was past the first down marker.
When he caught it, forward progress.
Forward progress brought him back. That game's completely different at that point. Tonight's game, very different, because Bo Levi Mitchell got hit in the head and it's 50 yards. And once again, I will say that was the right call in the end that they got. I don't like how they came to that, though.
Watkins Campbell Cat. Sounds like a lot of excuses for blank play. Rhymes with kitty play. No, if you've been listening, we've been very hard on this team for their lack of aggressiveness, particularly in the play calling. I've seen some people saying, "Oh, are they still going to say Cody Fajardo's the god, the best player to ever play?" Yada yada yada. Cody was 21 of 29 for 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's pretty good. Now, this is getting into territory where those numbers look great, but when it comes down to it, is this turning into a little bit of MBT kind of stuff, where MBT could put up some numbers, but is he going to be the guy that gets you the W? Right? Fajardo's it's probably not a fair comparison. I'm just trying to give you a recency comparable.
It's fair
to guys. Hey, those are great numbers, but we got to address that it didn't result in the win. Okay, so you can look at all these numbers and say, yes, this was great, this was awesome, but it's still a loss. Now, there's a few things here that you could look at that you would, like for instance, I saw 2 screen passes tonight.
Both very successful.
Yeah, both very successful. I saw a couple misdirection plays. One was successful. One didn't really do much. But it just comes down to, like, at the end of the first half, why are the Elks not taking a shot at the end zone?
Yeah, that's the rookie coaching mistake of not calling a timeout there.
Do you have a timeout?
Or having your team lined up quickly.
Why are you so protective of these timeouts? Use it when you need it to put points on. That is the opposite of aggressive. That is the definition of conservative, and I'm sorry. They're just too conservative as a coaching staff. Defensively, offensively. It just, this team, you need to open the floodgates and let your horses run. Hey, give them a shot. Give them a shot to screw up even. Because you're right. At the end of the game, when it was 3rd and 2, how much time was left, Matty?
When they went for the play.
A minute 26.
So when they went for the play, they punted at 146.
146.
Second down play ended at 212. So they could have lined up and snapped that ball with about 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, so you could.
And then the clock would have stopped.
You still have your 2 timeouts. Yeah. You can, hey, if you go for it and you come up short, guess what? Hamilton gets the ball there, and they're in scoring distance earlier. They may leave 20, 30 seconds on the clock.
Well, that's
15, 20
that's exactly
seconds.
it. And you have the wind.
Yes.
So you could push the ball, and you have a great returner in Leak. And also, Arkell Smith just had a return early in that game too, or early in that, I think the previous drive, he brought it up to like the 50 or something like that, or he had a big return that you could have put yourself in a position to do it. And also, like, you have actually, that one would have been maybe a little too crazy, but you have Javon Leak, who's a fast guy. You have Justin Rankin. Fajardo can run the football. You want to know something? That's a play you could have brought a Trey Ford out for. Like there was a lot that they, like, on a 3rd and 2, this Elks team should be able to go get 2 yards. I'm just saying that right now. You should have been able to go get 2 yards. And if not, you're in a great spot to get the ball back should your defense not get the stop that they need. And that's where I would have liked to have seen them go for it. And the reason I said that the Ravens should have done that against the Bills a couple weeks ago, it ultimately burned them. And today, I think it ultimately burned the Elks too, in that sense, because they didn't get the ball back. The Ticats were able to march down the field, and they were never going to punt it on that 3rd down, because when if the Elks get the stop there and they score a touchdown, it's a 1-possession game, and Hamilton still gets the ball with lots of time left. They just have to march further. So yeah, they punted as well as you can, but you still got burnt on it.
Okay, what do you think of, because this is generating a lot of conversation in the chat. And just before we get there, Maddie, I'm going to read a few texts if that's okay.
Please.
Norman to Combine, close again, terrible penalty call, iffy call. They are improving. Have a great show. Jordan says, time for Trey Ford to mop up the rest of the season. I'm going to put a side note in my notes. We'll get to that, Jordan.
Season's not over.
Atif says, Rankin rushing, 2 field goal kicking, 3 entertaining game, bad. Mark Killam's temper, as he always seems mad. Shanked one. Where does this go? Where did this go? Jay, they lost because the offense didn't get a first down or 2, not because of any calls. I agree with you. But once again, we've already established that this call from the gods of football referees, it's an epidemic, you know. This call did not cost them the game. Okay, their lack of aggression, their lack of aggressive play calling, which I believe ultimately cost them the game. You can think whatever you think and send it in.
I just need to. The one thing that ultimately cost them this game was Hilaire. Well, you want to know something? If Cody Fajardo put the ball where he needed to, Hilaire caught the ball and he didn't hold on to it. Add 4 points to the Edmonton Elks. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are not marching down the field, getting into field goal range. The Hamilton Tiger Cats need to march down the field to score a touchdown to win this football game.
Can you explain why that wasn't ruled a touchdown?
Because he didn't control the ball. He didn't have maintained possession through the catch.
You have to complete, even though I know like people are saying, well, his butt was down.
But he doesn't have full possession of the ball.
You have to, even in the NFL, you have to sustain the catch. And once again, Matt, if you want to have this voice of God come in and throw a penalty, go back and look at the replay of Stavros Katsantonis' hit, which was directly in the back of his head of a defenseless player. If that player's standing up, if that player, like, you saw what happened with Arkell Smith.
Yeah.
That's the exact same hit, but to the back of the head. So that's where the consistency part would need to come in, unless they want to go with the 3 minutes and under, blah, 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 blah. But
if he catches that ball, if he holds on to it, we're talking about a victory probably.
Well, when he dropped that ball, it was 26-24 Hamilton. Edmonton could have went up
31-24.
31-26.
26. So then Hamilton gets
Hamilton
that ball.
Has to score a touchdown. Yes. And if Edmonton's up 31-26, they're probably going for that third down.
Oh, I don't think so.
Or maybe,
I think they're punting because you're saying you now have to march the entire field into the wind to get 7 points. You don't have to get into field goal range.
No, you're right. It
makes the decision to punt much easier. Like that's the smart thing to do at that point.
Just in my head, I'm still trying to process how you don't go for that 3rd and 2.
That's where like you said, is Cody Fajardo in that MBT territory. The 2 things I will defend Cody Fajardo with was 1, he put the ball where his receiver is, and that should have been caught. And 2, he doesn't have that receiving core. I will say I'm impressed. I think Gittins Jr. had a pretty decent game today, ending up with 60 yards and a touchdown. Julian Grant had that a couple of plays where you're like, come on, dude.
He dropped a easy catchable ball right at the end, like right on the goal line.
But then other times he made some nice plays. Like he's a very Heckle and Jai player.
Jekyll and Hyde
player. He's very much like that. Like you get the bad from him, but there's also some really good with him. But once again, I think we saw like Justin Rankin is your leading receiver today, partly because he had 72 yards on one play. I think the one thing for Cody Fajardo, he needs that playmaker. At least MBT had a Geno Lewis. At least he had just a few more weapons to get that ball to. When he was losing those football games, like then it was more KMBT. Well, you had these weapons and you weren't winning football games. Mm-hmm. Cody Fajardo could sit here and be like, well, who's he throwing to? Mm-hmm. And yet he's still putting up 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, which should have been 3. Should have been 284 and 3 touchdowns or something tonight. So that I'm not right. Like I know where you were going with that, and I know you're not labeling him as that. I'm willing to be like, no, he isn't that yet. in my mind, because I don't see that extra playmaker for him to get the ball to.
Yeah.
But he once again put the Elks in a position that they can go win this football game.
This might be the best text to summarize my feelings. And trainer Mark summed up my feelings and thoughts pretty accurately. At the end, they are coaching games to not lose.
Yeah.
Not coaching to win.
That's great.
Another person texted in, playing not to lose. That is not managing the game. That's telling your players you're not good enough / we don't trust you.
Can you read that again?
Playing not to lose. That is not managing the game. That's telling your players you're not good enough. We don't trust you. What do you think of this? Killam is so fired up on the sidelines, but so far he doesn't seem to coach that way. He will figure it out. Just give him time. I like him. It would be a mistake to get rid of him. Nobody's getting rid of Mark Killam. No. Mark Killam's going nowhere.
No.
Mark Killam's just getting started.
No.
And games like this, experiences like this, where you have back-to-back walk-off losses, are going to force you to change and force you to learn. I know that's not what everybody wants to hear right now. And this word that I alluded to earlier, that other people that are close to this team have played at professional CFL football have all referred to it as a process. This is part of the process. You're in it.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly what every fan likes to hear.
I will say when it comes to Mark Killam, there's only 2 games this year I could point to where I had big issues with coaching. The game in Montreal against Montreal here in town, I think there was 3 or 4 coaching plays we referenced on the post-game show that I wasn't pleased with, and there's tonight. There haven't been any other real games for me that I've really questioned the coaching staff. I think Mark Killam's been a fantastic coach this season. Is there growth? 100%. What rookie coach doesn't have growth coming his way? There's no question that he ain't going anywhere. And I think what we've seen from him is growing. And I'll say this, as a guy who is fiery on the sidelines that you've seen at times, and to say, well, you don't see that in the play calling, I like that. I like that because then I would rather slowly mix it in. I don't want to coach coaching with emotion.
You can't.
Exactly. And he
especially on offense.
And he could slowly mix it in as he grows as a head coach. He'll slowly learn when to let the emotion get into the game and let the emotion not get into the game. I'm more than okay and actually want a rookie head coach I like that passion on the sideline. I like also the fact that it doesn't at all impact his play calling and impact of that part of the game, because that would concern me then. And that was one of the issues that Jason Moss had when his first stint as his head coach, which was here in Edmonton. He needed to grow from that, and he needed to go to Saskatchewan and be an OC and grow from that. And he talked about that he would have never been what he was in Hamilton and won the Grey Cup if it wasn't for those experiences. But he never would have ever been a Grey Cup coach if he didn't learn to control his emotions. Mark Killam's a guy that has that emotion on side, but doesn't let it impact the game, and I love that.
Yep, and nor can you. You saw and I didn't understand the penalty calls on the no end.
Yeah, he wasn't happy
on the field goals. That's just, I don't know what you're looking at as a referee. Technically,
he would know
on special teams, you don't have an end because it curves around. You could call that on every play if you're not being a stickler for the rules. So keep your pocket in your damn pants, dude. The same guy called both of those, and you saw Mark Killam giving him the gears from the sideline, but at the same time directing his assistants to shut the you-know-what up. I've got this. That's the head coach's job. So he knows how to handle and manage a sideline, but it's games like this that are going to have to manage or teach you to be aggressive. The CFL is not for the faint of heart. The CFL is not a, hey, let's kill the clock kind of league. It's just not, because you can't. And that tonight's game and last week's game is another example of it.
I want to get into the nasty chat. A couple comments. Russell Hirsch. I had to remind myself this is technically the first year of a rebuild again. In that sense, this year has been decent, but they need a good start next season, 100%. But yeah, it's a brand, like from top to bottom, literally from top to bottom. It is a brand new team going into this season. I guess we have a Tycat fan in the nasty chat. Graham. Edmonton's at the bottom for a reason. Keep showing your love for the guy. Go Cats, go. Edmonton has won how many Grey Cups since Hamilton's last won a Grey Cup, brah? What is Hamilton? They can't even. Good luck. Go try to at least go win a Grey Cup. The Elks at least have a Grey Cup as the Eskimos in more recent history in 2015. By the way, I do just quickly want to throw this out there
Thanks
before
for
we
listening,
continue.
though, Graham.
Always. GoElks.com. Get your tickets. Elks Riders next Saturday. There are basically no tickets available at this moment. It is literally singles. That is it. From what I can gather from the past, the north side has not been released yet. Nothing on the north end zone under the scoreboard has been released, so keep it locked to the Elks on Ticketmaster. GoElks.com, click on their link. This is going to be a packed house next Saturday down at Commonwealth Stadium for what will be a fun game between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Edmonton Elks. Two teams pissed off. Two teams coming in annoyed. The Riders coming in off a bye after their loss to the Montreal Alouettes, and the Edmonton Elks coming in now pissed off after what happened the last two games. And the temperature right now for that, it's going to be about 15 degrees. So great fall football weather. GoElks.com to go get your tickets for that.
I will just say this too. Like, you look at last week's game.
Yeah.
And what was the storyline there? That they lost even though they had 6 turnovers.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know what? They lost despite Hamilton literally trying to give them the game at times. Hamilton had 3 different unnecessary roughness penalties that extended drives. Where Edmonton was off the field punting the ball, Hamilton takes an unnecessary roughness, a 15-yarder, and extends the drive. That happened 3 times tonight, twice on the same drive. And then Kion Julian Grant drops a football, drops it. That was a simple, basic catch. I don't know if he missed. I don't know what happened. But unfortunately for Kion Julian Grant, you're not getting the benefit of the doubt tonight because you didn't come back and do something remarkable like you have in other games. You dropped the ball too much. That's simple. I'm sorry. It needs to be stated. Later in the game, Stavros Katsantonis takes an unnecessary roughness. That's 45 yards in penalties on 3 different plays that extended drives. So yeah, it is frustrating that they can't. And on all those drives, they ended up with field goals where they were extended. They did not turn one of those into a touchdown.
Katie, why would I go to that game at this point? I want to watch a winning team. Because ever since Cody Fajardo has been the starting quarterback of this team, you can go back to the game against the Saskatchewan Roughriders on July, whatever date it would have been. Outside of the game against Calgary on Labor Day, which we had a great time at still, the Elks have been in every single football game. Right down to the wire. If they haven't won, they've been in it. That's
a great point.
At the very least, right now, this Elks team might not be a winning record. This Elks team might not be a team that is ultimately going to be in the playoffs this year. The one thing you will get from this Edmonton Elks team right now is you will get a competitive game. That Calgary game too, like for the first half, they were right there too. They were competitive for that first half, and then they just couldn't get it done. Well, because of that punt return, it changed everything. But since that Saskatchewan game with Cody Fajardo as the starting quarterback of this team, the one thing that they are is they are a competitive football team. And you want to talk about progress, you want to talk about growth, that's the first step. You can't be a winning team until you first become a competitive team.
That's right.
The Edmonton Elks are a competitive team now. Last year with MBT and Trey Ford, where they were winning, losing, and they were going through their stuff, they lost some games pretty big with both quarterbacks. They lost some pretty significant games. And with Trey Ford this year, they lost a couple of really big games. But with Cody Fajardo, they have consistently been in it right until the end. And as a fan of a team, I'm taking away the idea of being a bandwagon fan, that you just want to cheer for winning. What more can you ask for from a team to a degree than to be competitive, than to be a team that could go win? Like today's game, where I look at the Elks, like last week, I will say with the offense, they didn't convert enough of those turnovers into touchdowns, settled for way too many field goals. Today was such a back and forth game. Mm-hmm. You could just look at this, and while we could say the Elks didn't maybe go and grab it at the end, it kind of came down to who had the ball last. Well, it was a back and forth game with 9 lead changes. It was shot for shot, mano a mano. You score, we score, you score, we score, you score, we score throughout this whole game. And ultimately, in the end, the Ticats had the ball blast. But I'll ask you this, Jay. If there was a minute more left on that game clock, Ticats kick that field goal and there's a minute left.
Yeah.
Do you think the Elks win this football game?
Yeah.
I do too.
Yep.
Because they would have had the ball last.
Well, now they have to go and do something, right? Because
Yes.
that's the difference.
That was the difference in this game.
Because they would have to go take the lead back instead of protecting the lead.
And that's what they did today.
They're not good at protecting leads. That's a fact.
When they were winning those games against Ottawa and Toronto, they allowed those comebacks, but then they finished it, but they allowed those comebacks. But that's the thing. They were competitive right till the end.
You are so bang on in what you just said about the excitement around the team. And tough loss, 29-27. That's a pretty damn entertaining football game.
If you're not a fan of the Ticats and the Elks and you're not emotionally invested in this, that was a great football. That was a great, Dusty, I know, was upset this year that he's called some duds. Dusty, I'm sure, I didn't see all of it, but you didn't call a great game this afternoon. The CFL got treated to a great football game this evening and with those two teams.
Let's go back 3 or 4 years to what these Elks fans were watching and enduring.
Yeah.
Hot garbage. You did not have these kind of games. So, yes, things are moving in the right direction. And I think McLemec sums it up pretty good.
3 points, 3 point total points in the last two games to lose by.
This is the best Elks team we've had so far since the name change. Where was it? Jay says, I will admit, it's damn nice to care about a game for a change. You know, and it is. And you know what? You can see it from the excitement that we see from people watching this pre and post game show. People tuning in when we have a coach on or a player on our shows. People care more about the Elks now, at least in my 2 years of doing this with you, that I've seen. And that's a good thing. That means things are happening and this team is moving in the right direction. There's going to be setbacks for sure. But these are losses that unfortunately sting, but I think will help this team in the long term and the coaching staff mature.
And they need that. Like we talked about the Oilers for a number of years. Like you need to first learn how to lose before you win. Like when it came to Connor and Leon, how did it go? Lost to Chicago in the bubble playoffs, lost to Winnipeg in the All-Canadian Division playoffs. Like it was like, okay, when's this team going to start winning? When are they going to go win that playoff series? And then I think after that Winnipeg won, that then started the next one after that was the LA. So then they started winning and they started winning playoff series. But it took 2 consecutive years of playoff losses for the Edmonton Oilers to learn from that and then become the team that we've seen them become. Well, the Elks, with this iteration of this team, they're needing to lose these close games. Like it's just with these losses, they now need to learn from them to grow. And I'll tell you right now, with a guy like Mark Killam, he'll learn from these. And the general manager of this team knows that too. And the general manager, he's seeing where he needs to improve this team, where he doesn't need to improve this team.
It's pretty easy to tell.
And he's learning from the losses of this team in a big way that's going to just set this team off for next year.
I think we're being trolled.
Why?
In the text line. 780-218-9999 if you want to have your thoughts shared. This comes in from a 306 area code. Do you know where that is? I believe it's that province to the east of us.
Oh, yeah, Saskatchewan.
Commonly known as Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Why is the crowd going to be so good next week? Is there something special going on? Elks should win next week. Riders aren't very good. That was my Saskatchewan voice.
Yes, the Riders are in town. I said that with the game. And yes, there's going to be a lot of green and white. And if you've listened to Jay and I over the last 2 weeks talking about this game, we have said there's going to be a lot of Rider fans, but there's also going to be a lot of Elks fans at this game. I think there's a bit of a buzz from this team after that Labor Day rematch win. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of Rider fans coming too. But that's going to make for a great atmosphere because it's the same as when the Habs or the Leafs come through town with the Edmonton Oilers. Their fans show up and it brings the best out of the Oiler fans. And this is going to bring the best out of the Elks fans. And it makes for a fun atmosphere. I'm all for it.
Shankwin says, did you guys see some replay on that so-called drop ball in the end zone that I didn't? Suit says it was going to be reviewed. And the next thing I see, we're kicking a field goal. I still think we should have challenged it. Shankwin, you need to continue the completion of a ball through to, I guess, the end of a play. You need to keep control of the ball. Stavros Katsantonis, Ticats safety, came in and gave Udu Hilaire a shot that popped the ball out, even though his butt was on the ground, so you could say there was a point of contact, you have to maintain control throughout the process of the play.
It's like if you're catching the ball at the sideline and you fall out of bounds, you got to hold on to the ball. If you lose the ball as you hit the ground, it will be ruled not a catch because you didn't maintain the ball through the catch.
Yeah.
Or you got to take a step or two or something like that. And since he was on his backside, he needed to just hold on to that football. And he didn't, and that's why it was ultimately not ruled a touchdown. There wasn't enough time for him holding on to that football where it wasn't ruled. The reason I smacked the table is the little fruit fly was right there, and I missed him.
If you are listening,
almost had him.
If you are listening, hammer that thumbs up. And if you haven't, if you're listening and you're from Saskatchewan or Hamilton, or if you're new to Edmonton Sports Talk, just below, click on subscribe. You can subscribe to Edmonton Sport Talk, get all of our coverage, all of our shows. We're on 5 days a week from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. with live programming, and then follow-up programming in the evening. Friends of EST.
Yep. And Dusty said it in the nasty chat already. And the comment I made about him, like the duds of the game, it's the games that he's calling, not him being a dud calling it. The games that he's gone haven't been as exciting. He misses always the big explosive plays. But he said EST cares. I think like in terms of like not just the Elks, but the CFL. I don't think you're going to find a lot of better CFL coverage. Again, biased. We'll have that bias, but you're going to find a lot of better CFL coverage in a lot of parts of the city. Haas and Winnipeg Sports Talk do a great job. Darren Bombing with Bonfire Sports in Winnipeg does a great job. Saskatchewan obviously has a great stuff with Sports Cage and Green Zone and their 2 radio stations. And then there's us. I don't think there's too many of people that do as good enough job covering the Canadian Football League. And from what I could recall, I think we're one of the we're maybe like the only place, or one of only 2 places that does CFL free agent coverage. We've done it back years, so that's what we do. By the way, the Elks, for those just tuning in, fall to the Hamilton Tiger Cats 29-27. They dropped to 5-9 on this season. They now sit 4 points back of both BC and Winnipeg for 3rd spot in the West Division. Why do they have Winnipeg listed below? Yeah, okay, that wasn't correct. For a second, Winnipeg was below BC, but Winnipeg has the season series, so they are above BC. The Edmonton Elks remain 10 points. Toronto Argonauts at 10 points too. So the Edmonton Elks, they have to be ahead of Toronto for any crossover spot, but then also they have to catch 4th place. The Edmonton Elks, they still have Saskatchewan, BC, Winnipeg, and Calgary this season. So they play all West teams. They've only beaten a West team once this season. They will have to go find at least 3 wins, if not possibly have 4 wins to make the playoffs this year. And I know you marked it down, but like to get to this, I will say that the comment about Trey rest of the season's not over. And even if it is, it's Cody's team now. I've been a big proponent of Trey Ford. I still think that there is a quarterback there. I still think that they didn't build the right offense for him, but it's over. Like Cody is the quarterback of this team. And unless Cody gets banged up, he's the starter, not just for this season, but going into next season. Or a player steps up that we are not aware of. Like all of a sudden, I don't even know who. Patrick Mahomes says he wants to try the CFL. This is going to be Cody Fajardo's team next year. The question will be, I don't know, contract. Like in 27, Trey Ford's contract is $400 and some thousand. I don't know if he comes in as a backup next year, because we're saying like you need a good backup, and I do think Trey Ford is one of the better backups you'll find in the Canadian Football League.
Yes.
And maybe he could go win his job back next year if he comes and Cody Fajardo has a bad play, and maybe there's that situation there. But there is no more garbage time for this team when it comes to developing Trey Ford, because as much as, again, I believe in Trey and I believe there's a quarterback there and I believe a system wasn't created to best suit his system, why would you go away from Cody Fajardo is the biggest question. It's not even a Trey question anymore. Take Trey Ford and put him on the side here for a second. Why would you not keep the Cody Fajardo with the football? Why would he not be your starting quarterback in 2026? What has he done this season that you would point to and say that's why he's not a starting quarterback in this league, or he's not a guy that's going to go take this team to the next level? Because there isn't one. That's the one thing. There isn't one point. Even if you want to say, well, he's not winning all these football games. Well, Trey Ford wasn't a winner outright himself. And again, I have been a huge defender of Trey Ford, and I will always, I will continue. And I stand by everything I've said in the past about him. But the other thing I've said on this show, just about 10 minutes ago or so, was that when Cody Fajardo took over this team, there has not been a single game this team has been out of by the end of the game, except maybe one, which is Labor Day.
Is that
That's
still
it.
a thing? Like, is that honestly?
Well,
like,
no, but
is
we saw it earlier. You marked it down that you wanted to get to it because somebody said you do mop up because Trey Ford. The mop up now is like you need to have your starting quarterback in there because I'll say this: if the Elks lose next week and we say they're out, I want to see a lot more of Benjamin Victor. It's Benjamin Victor, right? Or Victor Benjamin?
Benjamin Victor.
I always get that one confused.
It's a tough
Benjamin
name.
Victor and Allaire. I want more of them. I want them to be featured a lot more the rest of this season because I want to know what type of receivers those guys are. Yep. I want to see them featured more than Gittins Jr., Julian Grant. That's mop-up time now. That's where it goes now. And to learn that, though, you need your quarterback of next year throwing them the football, and that's Cody Fajardo.
I said in the pregame that if Justin Rankin is used and is used well and a lot, I threw out the number of 125 total all-purpose yards. They win. He did have that one big screenplay, but other than that, he was held in check pretty well. 10 carries, 41 yards, but he did have 2 catches for 77 yards, including that screen pass, which was a very nice play. 2nd and 23. I told you right away, I'm like, Matt, this is what you always talk about when the Elks are in this 2nd and long on defense and other teams run this screenplay, and it looks like the Elks have figured that out. If you want to look at some other, Jalen Williams, I thought he had a tough game at times, but then he came up, with a huge hit late in the game on Banks to force that ball free. But having him cover Kenny Lawler probably isn't a fair task because your first CFL start. He had some rough series. And I wanted to bring this up because this was something that happened. Well, I'm just going to say it. The CFL had their Hall of Fame gala event last night. So they were bringing all these Hall of Fame players through the booth. I thought they were in there a little too long. Just going to say it. Could have got back to long. Analysis of the game, calling the game, watching the game, reporting on the game. That's just my opinion.
The ones in the booth could have been cut in half.
If not more.
The ones on the sidelines, I'm fine with.
Sideline hit.
They were long enough.
Sideline hit with Shinetti was fine.
But the in the booth was too long.
Yeah, I don't need... I'm sorry. Jermaine Copeland was a hell of a player.
Great player.
I don't need his breakdown on the game right now.
Or actually let them call the game a little bit more.
I need to know what's going on and down a distance. Well, look, and if there's a flag on the field.
I'll have them be analysts even.
Well, then, okay,
They're not even being analysts of the game. They're just talking about their life and all that and stuff. And I get that. There's a part of that. But have them break down the play for a couple plays.
But there was one player who was put in the Hall of Fame, Glenn Johnson, former CFL ref. Saskatchewan fans would know who he is. He's called the 13th man.
All the 05 Grey Cup.
Infamous 13th man. And during his interview he said that the lack of officiating in Canada is an epidemic. And I just want to quickly read the definition of an epidemic.
Immediately caught on to that one.
For those that are wondering, because this would drive the host of the Reed Wilkins Show, Reed Wilkins, this guy, his name's right there, would drive him bonkers. An epidemic is a widespread occurrence of an infectious disease in a community at a particular time. I'm not sure if epidemic is the right way to describe the lack of officiating, especially
in this country,
in Canada, football. With young officials. It
was one that, like, the word I get. Yeah, it's a problem for football. we need to find more younger officials to bring into the game. I get that's what he was trying to say.
Do you think Alberta Health Services would ever ask for younger officials to join the ranks?
It's like, are we going to
join up?
All the provinces are going to have states of emergencies declared. The federal government's going to have a state of emergency declared because we've got this epidemic of a lack of football officials in this country. Sound the alarm. We're going to get those phone alerts that are going to pop up on your phone. And careful, we're without football officials in this country. We just heard that and we looked at each other and went, I don't know if it's an epidemic. I don't know if I'd go that far with the fact that we don't have football officials or there's a lack of them right now, that it's an epidemic. But apparently it might be, maybe it's an epidemic. Maybe this is just being squashed and we're not aware of it. And Glenn Johnson was just spreading the truth.
I get what he's saying. There is a lack of younger officials coming up in the ranks. That's why officiating at the lower levels is probably quite inconsistent. But Glenn Johnson saying that there's an epidemic in officiating was probably one of the highlights of the night for me.
It was great. Mm-hmm. It was wonderful, that part of it. The Elks defense, by the way, they get one sack tonight. The Blanco getting to Bo Levi Mitchell. Greg Bell had a pretty solid game. 93 rushing. He also caught the ball for 39 yards. So he gets over 100. Did a good job. Excuse me. They did a good job with Kenny Lawler outside of the touchdown where he just got wide open there. But yeah, it held him to only 46 yards. You know, Tim White, 84. Keandre Smith, 89. The Elks defense, while they, again, allow that late drive for the touchdown, 15 yards doesn't help them. I do think the defense did a pretty good job. And at halftime, both quarterbacks weren't far off. They were knocking on the door of 200 yards passing.
182 for Cody, 175 for Bo Levi.
Got it. Sorry.
You got it?
Got it.
Good. Was it a fruit fly?
Yeah, I think so. Those are small little ones.
Murder. That's an epidemic.
I finally got that one. How much was Bo?
Bo at half was 175. Cody was 182.
He ended with 311. Bo. So, 136 yards. That's all they allowed in the second half. I actually do give credit to the defense for having a pretty solid game themselves. And while in that first and then in that final drive, yeah, you'd rather see a stop happen there. Flip side is you'd rather see the offense maybe carry that ball a little more and put this game away. The defense, held Hamilton, I thought, quite well. A team that is generally able to score over 30 points consistently. It was down to 29, so right there. But gave this team every chance to win this football game. And offensively, it just in all of this, one catch, and it could be a completely different ball game. That's all it comes down to.
And don't forget, Edmonton was 1 for 3 in the red zone. They left points on the board twice.
Yeah,
but 61% on second down conversions. That's their season high for a game. Hamilton was only 58. So, I know this probably sounds like a broken record, beaten record. Damn you, record. This sounds like a broken record, but this is a process and it's moving in the right direction. From what I can see, you're seeing improvements. You are. If you're not admitting that you're seeing improvements, you're not watching the game.
It's funny because this team might not win another football game this season. Be real. There's a chance.
There is, sure. There's a chance they could win the rest of them.
Absolutely. But the reason, they won 7 games last year. There's a chance this team might have less wins this year than last year. But I have more hope for next year than this year. I have more hope this year than I would have had last year going into this season. Because last year, you would have expected changes on the defensive side of things. We knew there was going to be some changes offensively, but there was defensively, there was still going to be a lot of question marks coming into this season. I think right now, if season's over, I feel really good about where this defense is actually right now. I feel really good that Ed would be able to point to certain players and this is a defense here.
Yeah.
And there's certain players that might not need to be a part of this team anymore, and there'll be money freed up, and they could go look at wide receiver. And they could look at maybe some addition, maybe another change to the offensive line. But a full season of Carter O'Donnell next year will be
massive.
huge. coming in, learning what this team wants, from the off season instead of joining it like he doesn't need to know Steven Soler that I'm aware of. Yeah, he knows Chris Morris, but Chris Morris isn't the offensive line coach.
Right.
So like for him to learn, like I remember the late Chris Schultz, I spoke to him years ago on 1260 and I asked him, well, how long does it take an offensive lineman to learn a system? He's like, probably 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
So like next year you would have him adding to this team, but there's a lot of positives that would go into next season. That while they lose today, and some could sit there and just be like, well, it's just another loss, be happy with failure. I don't think we were today. I think we critiqued the Elks pretty well today. They didn't deserve this win. They didn't do enough late to take this game and win it and just say, screw you, Hamilton. We're not giving you this football. We're just going to go win this football game. But there are lessons that can be learned, and it brings me a lot of hope. Like, as much as I said, and you're right, I said they might lose every game. There's a chance they could lose every game the rest of this way. But there's also a chance they could go win every game this season. There is not a single person out there that has watched this team, that has consistently watched this team since Cody Fajardo was taken over, and I'm just going to put it to that part, and can honestly sit there and say, yeah, they don't have a shot against Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
They don't have a shot against BC. They don't have a shot against Winnipeg. Like, Saskatchewan...
Well, the haters will, but
I know, but
you're never going to change that.
They haven't been paying attention.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Saskatchewan is now maybe the best team in the Canadian Football League. I have no idea anymore. What do you think this line opens up as?
Ooh. Home game. So that's, I would say 5.5, 6.5.
That's higher than I would have thought. I would have thought maybe like 4.5.
Yeah.
But that's like, but at the start of when they went to go play Saskatchewan the first time, the line was higher than that.
I don't recall.
I feel like that was close to like 9.5 or something.
Yeah, there were some high lines earlier in the season.
And the Elks were not getting those as much anymore. We had double digits at one point this season.
That's a good point.
There's a chance to go win all of these games. It's just that simple. And so they could go win all 4 too. Like there's all over the place. There are some Elks clips that we can get to. Is there somebody you want to hear from first?
Be the one that.
Let me just find it here quickly. Any audio coming through my computer right now? Nope. That's awesome. I want to play 2 if we don't mind.
If we don't mind, we don't mind.
I want to play Killam, and I do want to play Fajardo.
Sure.
So let me just tee up Mark Killam first. I don't have YouTube Premium. Hey, Miami scored another touchdown. We're gonna beat Florida. Take that, Hernan Salas. He started being a Gator fan apparently this year.
Oh, did he? Makes sense.
Suck it.
What'd you just say?
Suck it. Hernan Salas.
He said something else.
Here's Mark Killam speaking to the media post-game following the Elks 29-27 loss to the Ticats.
I mean, the last drive, can you tell me what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I thought special teams did their job, put them back down there on the 10. We got to hold them down there. I mean, penalty hurt, a little bit of soft on that coverage on that last one there. We got to find ways to make those plays.
What's sort of the difference of being able to make those plays and being just not being able to?
Well,
I guess if you knew that answer, you would fix it.
Yeah.
But is it youth? Is it an experience? Or?
No, those are excuses. We got to find a way to make plays. We're prepared when we show up here, and we've got to execute in critical situations.
Well, to that point about executing critical situations, you were a part of a team for a long time that could win in every situation. What does that take? What are the guys in the locker room, a lot of the youth that you have in the locker room, the guys who formed the team as it is right now, going to have to learn about winning situations like you've had the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, you feel what it feels like when you're in them, and you have to learn from positive and negative experiences so that you grow as a player and grow as a defense and grow as a play caller. You have to, otherwise it's all for naught. I mean, it's a commitment to constant, never-ending improvement, but in these critical times, that's when you really have to learn the lessons.
And what can you say about the pieces that are putting the work in? Like Joe DeBlanco seemed to be on every single play. Cody at times commanding the offense and was leading the team down the field, not effortlessly, but pretty efficiently. Are you seeing bits and pieces of a winner that you can see building?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're taking steps, but I mean, I don't have a lot of words after that one. That was a tough loss against a good team at their place, and it's 2 weeks in a row.
Any issues with that delay on the roughing the passer?
No, I think it was roughing the passer, but it's frustrating when it's not called and on the field and then it gets overturned, but that's the way it is. I mean, that happens every game or every week in certain situations, but I think it was roughing the passer, so it's a correct call.
There's Mark Killam speaking post game, and yeah, he's right. It was pass interference, but I'm not upset. He's got a little more frustration. It was a call in the field, then it gets changed. I'm just more frustrated. I don't know when the command center comes in and when they don't. I was going to tee up Cody Fajardo. Anything stand out to you with that?
Calm, composed, execution. Yeah, execution's one thing. The most of that conversation was specifically about the last drive.
Yeah,
but I'm sure when they go back and look at the film, they'll realize they left quite a few points on the board or on the field.
And he's though talking about the need to learn, which is something we've talked about a lot tonight on the post game show. Here's Cody Fajardo speaking with the media following tonight's loss.
What you're feeling after 2 straight weeks of walk-off field goals, but in your situation, as someone who's won a Grey Cup, has led teams, what are the lessons you hope this team takes after the last 2 weeks?
I'm dejected. So is everybody in that locker room. It's hard because we're running out of time, and I think we got to win out just to give ourselves a chance. The unfortunate thing is, if you look at our year on the entirety, we've given too many games in the last 3 minutes of the game. This could have been a whole different season if we find a way to win those games, but we didn't, and now we're in a tough spot here. Feels like Groundhog's Day, just another East trip, another walk-off field goal. A lot of things I felt like I could have done better just to help the team out, but at the end of the day, players just need to make plays with the game on the line, and myself included. I need to make some better throws down the stretch, but it's hard when you think you throw. We had a touchdown there, and then a great play by their free safety cat, and OJ felt like he had it. It's just a tough way to celebrate, and then all of a sudden, the wind's kind of pulled from your sails.
What do you do as a leader in the locker room? Like, what are the kind of conversations you're having, especially with some of your young receivers, so that they understand what the learning moments are from the last 2 weeks?
I show up to work with a smile on my face, which it's hard to smile right now, but I'm going to show up to work. The sun's going to come up tomorrow, and I'm going to sulk for the 24 hours. It's going to be a brutal road trip back, but we got a very good, talented SAS team coming to play us in our homes, and we got a lot of good talent in that locker room, and like I said, we can play with anybody. We just got to find ways to win games. Got to get back in that positive momentum. But for me, I just got to try and stay positive. I got to find ways and be honest with myself and with those guys and tell them how I can play better and how I can make them better. I've always been told the quarterback's got to make everybody around you better, and I feel like I got to do that. I got to be better in that game and make everybody around me better.
And how much are you looking forward to, in a way, how this team responds over the next couple of weeks, especially knowing that you have the Riders coming up?
Yeah, we've responded well every time we've been gutted. It's just how many times are you going to get gutted before you don't get back up? But I don't think that's the mentality in that locker room. That's definitely not me. I'm a guy who's gritty, going to fight, toughness. I'm going to get up every time and wipe it clean from my mind after 24 hours and then start preparing for Sask. And you play for a lot of pride. You play for your family. You play for the city. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and go out there and give everybody who believes in me every right and every reason to continue to believe in me.
There's Cody Fajardo speaking to the media following this game. We'll wrap things up right away here. I just do want to say something to anyone that's just down on this team. Look, I could do this a little bit the other way too and change this, but if Cody Fajardo talked about blowing the games late, these last 2 weeks they could have won. Takes you to 7 wins. You catch that touchdown if Kayla and Julian Grant, you might win that football. Like that game, there still was time. Bo could have tied it or they could have still won it, but there's a possibility you go win that game. You're at 8 wins. Those fine margins at the end of those 3 games alone. And the Edmonton Elks could be sitting in 3rd in the West right now, tied with Calgary without the tiebreaker.
But they're not.
Absolutely not. But that's the progression. And that's how, to me, that also says how close this team is. This team is right there on that razor's edge. Just a couple of different plays this season. Like we're talking about, let's say 12 plays overall, maybe 10 plays overall this season. And the Edmonton Elks that go a different way. Of the course of 14 games, you could say maybe 9 or 10 plays. And the Edmonton Elks are sitting 3rd in the West as opposed to 5th.
Yep.
That's how close the margins are. That's how close the Edmonton Elks are too, to taking that next step and being a team that's at that next tier. Final thoughts for this game.
Yeah, a frustrating loss for Elks fans, 100%. This is 2 weeks in a row that you've seen a victory slip away to defeat with not much you can do about it, with not much the team can do about it. So I think Cody said it best. I think they got to win out if they want to have a shot.
3-1 at least.
which is going to be tough. So, but you know what? They're not out of it yet. And like I think it's very common. What we're seeing is optimism. Optimism for the remainder of the season, and optimism for the future. And as a fan of this organization, you've been through a lot, but I feel like good things are coming. So hang in there.
I'm just going to outline this for the next 3 weeks. There's a bye week in there. BC takes on Toronto. Edmonton, you need BC to win. I think that's where you're at, BC. You're at the point you need BC to win that football game. Hamilton takes on Winnipeg. You need Hamilton to win that football game. Edmonton takes on Saskatchewan. Edmonton needs to pull that victory out. Edmonton sits 2 games back of Winnipeg. They both are on a bye week. Then they meet in Edmonton on October 11th, where the Elks could beat them and pass them in the standings, or beat them and be tied with them. And depending on how big a margin you beat them by, you're behind them on tiebreaker alone with 2 weeks left in this regular season. It's wild to say that, but we could be talking about, like, the Edmonton Elks need to beat Saskatchewan next week for this to really come out. But October 11th could be a massive game. It could have all the playoff implications going here in Edmonton as Winnipeg comes to town. Edmonton needs to go do their job next week, though, by beating the Saskatchewan Roughriders in that sense. You then also need BC, and you also need Winnipeg, or BC to win, and you need Hamilton to win in that one.
By the way, if they hadn't already beat Calgary 31-19, that was their first win over a quote-unquote good team.
Yep.
Then
First win against the West.
I would be a lot more concerned.
Yep.
But this team's capable of it.
They are absolutely capable of it. The Edmonton Elks' next game, though, is in home to Saskatchewan on Saturday, September 27th. Keep it locked to GoAlts.com for your tickets, because right now it's just singles. They will release stuff on the north side, but that place is going to be packed with Elks fans, with some Rider fans. It's going to be a lot of fun down at Commonwealth Stadium. We will also be back with the Green and Gold Kickoff Show next Saturday, 4 o'clock, right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, as Jay and I will get you set for that game. It is the next game for the Edmonton Elks. Coming up next for EST, we've got replays throughout the audio stream, and then 6 o'clock Monday morning, Dustin Nielsen, Lieutenant Eric, and YouTube Trev, they will kickstart another full week of live programming right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. I will speak with you on EST Afternoons, as I'm filling in for Hernan next week. You will be on the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. Your name's part of it, so you're going to be there. But once again, the Edmonton Elks, they fall to the Hamilton Tiger Cats 29-27 on a last-second field goal. They drop to 5-9 on the season and sit 4 points back of both BC and Winnipeg for third in the West, and are tied with Toronto at 10 points apiece. We thank everyone for tuning in to the Green and Gold Kickoff and post-game shows tonight. Appreciate everyone jumping in the nasty chat or texting us at 780-218-9999.
We appreciate our biggest contributor tonight, Dusty.
Dusty's...
Attaboy, Dusty.
It's 11:13 out there. I guess it's an early night still for him. Thank you, Dusty. Thanks for jumping in. On behalf of Jay Milne, I'm Matt Iwanyk. The aquarium's about to get going tonight. Thanks for tuning into the Green and Gold post-game show. Beware, there is an epidemic of reffing in this country, so be careful out there. On behalf of Jay again, I'm Matt. This is the Green and Gold post-game show. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll talk with you on Monday.